More than 170,000 cases were reported in Korea for the first time, increasing by over 70,000 in a single day. The Central Disease Control Headquarters announced that 171,452 cases were reported as of midnight of today. The number of critical cases stands at 512, up 32 from yesterday, and 99 more people died yesterday, bringing the total of COVID-19 deaths to 7,607. Meanwhile, the government says the nation is ready to manage the Omicron variant as an endemic because despite its high transmissibility, it's less deadly. But some worry it's too soon to let our guards down as the number of cases and seriously ill patients is rising.
On Tuesday, when daily COVID-19 cases were close to 100,000, the government mentioned a transition to a new scheme to manage the virus. Health authorities say the current situation is the first step towards switching from the Omicron response to the endemic phase.
풍토병적인 관리 체계로 전환하기 시작한 초입 단계가 되겠습니다. 아직은 갈 길이 멀지만 출구를 찾는 초입에 들어선 셈이 되겠습니다.
Authorities base their decision on the fact that Omicron is far less severe and deadly than the Delta variant or the initial novel coronavirus.
고위험 환자를 적절히 관리하면서 이 코로나19와 함께 더불어 살아가기 위한 체계로 이행을 하는 과정에 지금 들어서고 있다고 판단하고 있습니다.
Experts say the government's assessment is not wrong in the long term. However, they fear it's too soon to let our guards down as the outbreak is yet to reach its peak.
장기적인 전망에서는 당연히 할 수 있는 이야기라고 생각하는데요. 그 위기 상황에 대한 대비를 어떻게 할 것인지, 그다음에 중증 환자 병상이나 이제 방역 정책의 변화를 어떤 식으로 가는지에 대한 실질적인 이야기가 더 중요하다고 보고요.
환자 발생의 정점 올라가는 패턴하고 위중증 사망은 시간의 갭이 있거든요. 지금 다 안정적이야 라고 말하는 건 좀 위험해요.
Experts point out the fatality rate among seniors remains too high to think of Omicron as an endemic.
어떤 특정한 연령군의 치명률이 너무 높으면 계속해서 그 사회가 그 질병을 막기 위한 노력을 유지해야 된다는 걸 의미하기 때문에 그런 점에서는 위험한 풍토가라는 거죠.
Changes in the number of seriously ill patients look to serve as an important barometer going forward.
Cash payouts for small business owners who incurred lost revenue due to the pandemic restrictions began Wednesday. This time around, the payout has increased to 3 million won and benefits more recipients. On Wednesday, people with business registration numbers ending with an odd number can apply.
Starting Wednesday, relief funds are provided to small businesses that incur losses due to pandemic restrictions. The payout has increased to 3 million won in this second aid package. Eligible enterprises are those that started business before December 15th of last year and are in operation as of January 17th this year with annual sales below 3 billion won.
기존의 소기업에 국한돼 있었던 매출 규모를 30억 이하의 사업체까지 올리면서 크게 음식점 하시는 분과 그다음에 숙박업, 교육서비스업 등등 해당되시는 분들도 새롭게 좀 추가될 것으로 보입니다.
Business establishments that were subject to curfews can receive the payouts without providing any documentation. These include restaurants, cafes, indoor sports facilities, and singing rooms. Businesses that suffered a decline in sales can also receive the relief money even if they were not subject to limited operating hours. In this case, sales posted last November or December should be smaller than that of the same month of 2019 or 2020. Small businesses paying taxes on simplified terms can receive the payout if their revenue, subject to surtax, suffered a dip last year compared to 2019 or 2020. Others already receiving pandemic-related state subsidies don't need to provide any other proof of documentation. Applications are available online. If sign-ups are made before 6 p.m., the payout is given the same day. A special rule will apply Wednesday and Thursday to prevent overcrowding. People with business registration numbers ending in an odd number can apply today, and those ending with an even number can sign up Thursday. But from Friday, sign-ups are open to everyone.
Now we turn to the presidential race. Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung urged voters in the battleground capital area and called for overcoming the pandemic. He promised to launch a 100-day economic revival program as soon as he gets elected. On Wednesday, he is campaigning in the Chungcheong region.
Lee Jae-myung appeared in a bustling downtown area and laid out COVID-19 measures.
영업 제한도 심해서 어려운 데다가 사실 너무 경제가 위축돼가지고 서민들 주머니가 비었습니다. 그렇죠?
He said the government must be responsible for the loss suffered by the public over the past 2 years and pledged to initiate a 100-day economic revival project. He also promised to write off pandemic-related debts.
코로나 채무 다 정부가 인수해서 채무 조정하고 필요한 만큼 탕감해서 다시 일상으로 돌아갈 수 있게 하겠습니다, 여러분.
He also stressed the importance of peace in order to achieve stable economic growth. The remark appears to target rival Yoon Suk-yeol, who seeks to further deploy a US anti-missile system. He asked voters to guard against populist policies on national security. He said if Yoon wins the election, citizens can go to jail for taking part in candlelight vigils.
장난 같습니까? 군인들이 나라를 지배하던 시대 그때보다 더 엄혹한 모든 전직 검사들이 온 나라를 다 지배하는 나라가 될 수도 있습니다, 여러분.
In his first televised speech, Lee assured voters that he will make them experience a complete change to their lives through the election of a new president. On Wednesday, Lee is visiting the Chungcheong provinces, including the cities of Sejong and Cheongju.
Meanwhile, opposition candidate Yoon Suk-yeol visited the Chungnam and Jeonbuk regions and vowed to replace the current government because it's armed with leftist ideology. He again urged voters in the Honam region today by visiting Mokpo and other cities in southwestern Korea.
People Power Party presidential candidate Yoon Suk-yeol, campaigning along the West Coast, brought up the Songnam land development scandal to attack its Democratic Party rival.
위기에 강한 경제 대통령이라는 그런 허무맹랑한 얘기를 합니다만은 이 나라의 질서가 잡히고 도대체 경제가 성장이 되겠습니까?
He questioned the ideological leanings of the Moon administration by claiming that the current government is armed in leftist revolutionary ideology and speaks for North Korea.
꼭 북한 어디 노동신문이나 당 기관지 같은 데서 나오는 거랑 같은 얘기를 늘 하지 않습니까?
Yoon went on to highlight the government failed in real estate policy on purpose in fear of people becoming more conservative once they own homes. He vowed to work together with politicians to govern under the late Kim Dae-jung and Roh Moo-hyun's Democratic Party government, but not with those working under Lee Jae-myung's DP. In the Honam region, Yoon said he owes nothing to any region and pledged local development.
대구에 가서도 호남이 발전해야 영남이 발전하고 대한민국이 발전한다고 대구의 영남의 중심에서도 그렇게 얘기를 했습니다.
During his first TV speech, the nominee once again emphasized the need to switch to a conservative government, maintaining that the essence of an election is judging those in power. On Wednesday, Yoon visited the Donghak Peasants' Revolution Memorial Hall in Cheonggup, Jeollabuk-do Province. Included in the schedule, a visit to Mokpo and Sinan in Jeollan of the province to underscore the spirit of the late President Kim Dae-jung and national unity.
Justice Party's presidential candidate Shim Sang-jung called Lee Jae-myung arrogant for saying that she is generous toward PPP candidate Yoon Suk-yeol while harsh toward him. Shim said that she is not on anyone's side but the people's. People's Party presidential candidate An Chol-soo criticized the partial delivery workers' labor union for maliciously obstructing business. The labor union has been blocking access to the CJ Logistic Hub terminal and said that he would take away the vested interests of some hardline labor unions and reform the labor sector for the majority of good workers. Korea's 20th presidential election started today for voters residing overseas. Voting takes place at 219 voting locations in 115 countries worldwide for some 226,000 pre-registered overseas voters until February 28th. Voting sites open every day at 8 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. Overseas voters must bring their IDs such as passports or resident registration cards with the names, photos and birth dates. The Fair Trade Commission has approved a merger between Korean Air and Asiana Airlines. But the deal must be carried out under certain preconditions, as the merger will result in a gigantic airline carrier.
The Incheon-LA route used to be highly competitive because it has the most passengers among flights between Korea and the US. Once Korean Air and Asiana Airlines merge, they will hold a monopoly over the route. The new air carrier will also dominate over 10 other routes, including between Incheon and New York. Its share will surpass 60% in 16 routes, including the Incheon-Rome route. The FTC says the combined airline will also have an unrivaled presence in 14 domestic routes. Concerns are rising that the merger could have negative side effects. The FTC has approved the deal with certain conditions. If low-cost carriers or overseas airlines decide to conduct flights on 26 international routes where the merged airline's shares exceeds 60%, it will be required to forego its right to use airports at certain time slots. If a new airline enters the designated routes or an existing carrier decides to expand its flights there, the merged airline must also return its traffic rights. The measure will stay in effect for 10 years after the merger. The combined carrier will also be mandated to restrict its airfares while maintaining service quality. The increase in airfares must not surpass the inflation rate compared to pre-pandemic levels. As to frequent flyer miles, the same benefits must be offered as in late 2019.
신규 진입이 경쟁 제한성을 해소하는 수준까지 일어나기 전까지는 소비자 피해를 예방할 수 있는 별도의 조치가 필요합니다.
Given the ongoing stagnation in the aviation industry, the FTC has permitted the merged airline to determine its airfares later. It also did not impose any restrictions on freight. Korean Air says it accepts the FTC's decision.
Families who lost their loved ones in an apartment construction site collapse in Gwangju have reached an agreement with Hyundai Development Company regarding compensation and decided to proceed with a delayed funeral. After verifying the cause of the accident, the police will take the next steps concerning 16 suspects who have been booked on related charges.
On February 8th, the bodies of all 6 victims of the building collapse were recovered. Days have passed, but the families have yet to hold a funeral, as they are protesting that Hyundai Development Company has not offered a proper apology or compensation pledge. On Tuesday, they announced they finally struck an agreement with the firm.
오늘부로 현대산업개발과 원만한 합의를 하고 이제 남은 5분을 보내드릴 수 있게 되었습니다. 정말 현대산업개발이 다시는 이 건설 현장에서 사람이 죽는 일을 없게 해달라는 거였습니다.
They did not disclose the compensation amount but said a joint consultation body will be set up with the company to monitor the remaining procedures. A temporary memorial altar for the victims will now be shut. Funerals will take place in the respective areas of the victims. The police are verifying scientific inspections of the incident carried out by specialized agencies. They unveil findings by the Korea Construction Quality Research Institute showing the 39th floor of the structure, which collapse endured double the weight load it was originally designed for. An illegal alteration in construction method is responsible for the increased load, but a proper structural review did not follow. Police say initial probe results indicating the absence of a buttress to hold up the floor that caved in led to a wider collapse have been partially confirmed. When additional findings by the Korea Occupational Safety and Health Agency are out, the police will determine the whereabouts of 16 individuals, including an HDC field officer, who have been booked on charges such as professional negligence resulting in death.